Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Train Man, and welcome back to TRS 2006. We are overlooking Grizzly Lumber, where I'm gonna make a couple of serious alterations to this area, namely the removal of the balloon loop, as I am starting right there. I just get right to it. And the construction of passing siding instead, a runaround. A couple of new things over here. Move the location of that little log thing, and this whole episode is going to be centered around programming all of the industries that are hanging around on the map. Now, speaking of map, let me get mine. And we can take a look at just what I missed, because one of the things I didn't do, or rather the primary thing that I didn't do, was set up the cargo transfers in Temeros and Galgora. The reason I didn't do this is because I wasn't quite sure what cargoes would be going through it, and I didn't want to sit there and basically figure it out. I felt like it would have been a little bit wasteful if I just sat there and did that. Instead, I can do it, live on video after. So I'm building this passing siding right here, and I realized that the log thing is in the way. So I go ahead and I break the spline point connections on that thing right there. On that thing there. Sound like Doug. The ball. And then I realize it's hanging over the edge after I turn it around. And then I go about fixing that. Now I go to get the wharf, but then I realize that I still have all the Murica's Pass content installed. And I don't want to try to put the wharf in, or anything in, without knowing if it's Murica's Pass or it's regular, because, as I've said, I've voiced those concerns before. But, now in that case, it is actually relevant. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this passing siding. I'm gonna add a third siding with those rows of tracks over there, and I'm gonna add a little spur up behind everything, between these tracks and the bridge over there. So I'm just kind of waiting for myself to do anything interesting here. I've got to go through and do all those switch stands, which will get done eventually. But aside from that, we've got to figure out exactly what's going to go where. Now, there are, again, two sets of cargo transfers on the map. One of them, or they're both going to have logs. By the way, I do all this via the power station rule. There'll be a little demonstration of how I set up these very unusual industries later. I'm not sure how to use the multiple industries in order to tie two industries together. I don't know how to do it yet. I don't know how to do it at all. I could look it up, but I like doing things my way right now. Although I'm sure there's a way to do it. I've also got to talk to you guys a little bit about Train Simulator 12, which is what I will be doing my next project in. But you guys will get more on that in just a little bit. So we have 4 cargo transfers at Galgora and 3 in Temeros. The 3 in Temeros are most likely going to be used for a goods transfer to the narrow gauge, a log transfer to standard gauge, and a lumber transfer to standard gauge. Or possibly a Gilpin ore, or one of the other things. We're going to need to have... Actually, no, I'm sorry. That's going to be an Archero, because that's going to be one end of the 2-foot gauge. In Galgora, we have 4. Now, one of them is going to be logs. One of them is going to be general goods, most likely. There's really nothing else we need. I don't understand why I bothered to put 4 in there. Although we'll see what kind of little industries we cook up on the way out, just to see how all this is gonna turn out. I forgot to turn off coal. That's the one thing I forgot to turn off. Maybe we can do wood chips. Wood chips would be sensible, I guess. And lumber as well. That end of the map is full of wood stuff, basically. So we've got those 4 nailed down. Although, that means the only way to get... Where are we going to get general goods from? Again, I've got to work all this stuff out. It's going to be very, very experimental. One of the other major things I did was sit down and do all the passenger stations. Program all of those. I'm pretty sure it's all of them. I may have missed 1 or 2, but I'm pretty sure I got all of them. Including the one at the seaport, which I normally don't use. So Squeaka I couldn't do for whatever reason, just because it wasn't... It refused to recognize it. Or, well, just because that station is a station in spirit, but it's not really a station. Trying to figure out what else would go here. I mean, we've got all our things nailed down. Now, I'm looking for the right log set. Now, I don't know a single thing about log sets, so I don't quite know how to set this up. I mean, honestly, I might go back with a multiple industry and just do it that way. Once I get once I figure out what pieces of scenery should go here. Other than that, I'm really not sure. So I just sat down with the 32-foot log sets. And I think I'm done adjusting that at this point. So I put all the tracking in there that I needed to get. So I fly back this way in search of more things to do. Go over Skyfall Ridge. Look around here and I go, oh. Because we need to fill that in. Although that's technically going to get filled in once we do once we have our churro done, I can build a line from Sisqueaka to our churro, and that's on the 2-foot narrow gauge. I came up here, though, to adjust the Sisqueaka general goods. Is that what that says? I can't actually read it. I assume that's what it says. I can't read it at all. I really have no idea what it says, but the Sisqueaka General Goods, that's what I'm going to call it right now. And I go to adjust that, I go and find General Goods, although I pass it a couple of times because I'm just a genius. And then I get that all set up. Now, I do some basic math while looking at that pile of hay bales over on the side to how much stuff this thing could actually keep. And that would be 16 on one side times 4. Which is 64 plus another 64, assumedly. Just a stack of two full stacks would be 128. So I adjust that to be 128, the maximum. Right? Come on, do it. Nope, not yet. Oh yeah, no, I'm mousing over the thing trying to figure out the math. I have to do it a few times before I actually get it right. I was just sitting here, just like, wow, I'm so good at math. And then I go, wait a minute. I set it up, click on that, realize I clicked on the wrong thing, go back to this, and set it to 128. There we go. 2 giant piles of general goods. And then I'm trying to remember how to actually use a multiple industry, which took a little bit. I'm glad I practiced on Sisqueaka, my favorite town. Alright, so what else? What else? I really don't know what else. Sorry. Alright. So, continuing to think. Once we get more things done, it's going to open up more possibilities. And it's going to force me to get more work done. But this is this little bit for now. Of course, when I get back from my vacation, I'm on vacation right now. Happy 4th of July, by the way, everyone. Hope you're lighting off fireworks if you're American, and if you're not, celebrate anyways, because America. I mean Murica. Apostrophe M-U-R-I-C-A. That's how you pronounce it. So that ski jump is still there. I haven't fixed that yet. by fixed, I mean gotten rid of, and that isn't a fix. It should be like that. I go down here, and I realize that I need to change this, and that's something I'm going to address when we do Temeros to Portal. So, I really leave it for right now, although I keep going over in my head of how exactly I'd set it up to make it make any sort of sense. And of course that dead ends right there. So, when we get all that stuff worked out, then I'm going to clean up a little bit. I stare at that because it's a tight turn, but that's nothing compared to if I go over by the coal mine. There are some ridiculous turns, which at some point I actually expect to take the big boy on, and that's going to be just kind of silly. So, that's going to be entertaining. I delete the consist there because we're making a new session. It's called Baseline. You don't see me save it, but at the end of the episode you will. I do save it before I get out. Sorry. Lost track of thought. I think it was at the end of a thought. Oh, there's a little autosave thing. Alright, so I come over to the coal mine. That's the next thing to do. I'm going to adjust that. I just basically make it round numbers. I really don't change too much because I'm not sure how it's all working. And I'm not... Sorry, again. Wow, I'm yawny. I'm always yawny when I do these. Why? I don't know why. So, as we get towns done, it's going to open up more possibilities. Now, you guys, tentatively, it's not up for official voting yet, but I did ask tentatively what you would like to see next. And I got the majority of responses from Temeros to Arturo. I believe it was 2, and everything else got 1. I might be wrong there, but it doesn't really matter because it's not your decent voting. But so I'm going to talk a little bit about that, a little bit more in detail. Now, the line from Temeros to Arturo is the most straightforward piece of track that you can find on this map. It had... Oh, wait, no. No, it's not. I'm sorry, I take that back. No, I'm sorry, yes. Yes, it is. Because it doesn't have any elevation change. The line between... No. I take back my take back. I was reading a number wrong. I thought a 2 was a 3. And I was confused for a minute there. The line from Fempton to Vale is far more straightforward. Because it's across a plain, there's no elevation change, and it's just double track standard gauge main line. From Fempton to Vale, it might be quadruple, triple track, or even quadruple track. But from Temeros to Arturo, it's going to be double track. It's going to be through... I'm not really going to call it a mountain pass, but I'm probably going to throw a couple of tunnels in there. But it's not going to change elevation hardly at all for most of the journey. It's going to be in a creek bed, more or less. Or maybe a glacial sort of thing. But there's no elevation change between Temeros to Arturo. I might put a little hill that we have to go over. Probably not. The first thing I do when I build Temeros to Arturo is probably lay out all the base plates and then move everything up to 200 feet. So that we don't have to worry about hanging track over thin air. And then I will be adjusting, and it'll be very moderate grades and stuff like that. As I said, I've been getting progressively better with how to set up these maps, but some of the grade changes I've put in for myself are damn near impossible. It's going to be fun doing, although I think the worst, I think the worst is past us. Maybe Meest to Modico is going to be troublesome. I might have to add some things. Zanzib to Lambit is definitely going to be a problem, just because of the way I have stuff set up. There's going to be at least one issue spot. Oh yeah, this is when I start to use the power station rule. Now if you look in there, I set up that one as a power station, and the other one as the acceptor of power. And it's as long as the other one can function, the first one, as long as the power station has fuel, the thing receiving the power will continue to generate its goods or continue to do whatever process it's supposed to be doing, whether that be generating, consuming, or transferring something into one another. Changing. Yeah, I'm looking where... Oh my goodness. I didn't even realize that. There is a line from Hapston Cliffs to Port Charles. Now, this will be the greatest elevation change during a single route on the map, because it is a elevation of 5, which is 500 feet, which is Hapston Cliffs, to an elevation of 0, which is Port Charles, down there at the edge of the prairie. Sorry, I had to throw a Prairie Companion reference in there. Actually, I should definitely throw more Prairie Companion references in here. Now, I said I wanted to do a map with all sorts of references, and whether they be obscure or not. So Port Charles is out there on the edge of the prairie. It's also on the edge of the ocean and the edge of the mountain range, and it's in a protected cove, whereas Galgora is not. So, building the line from Temeros to Arturo is going to open up, well, I'm not sure whether to count this as 2 possibilities or 1, but it's going to open up 1, 2, 3 possibilities, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It's going to be the line from Arturo to Hapston Cliffs, which is an increase of 300 feet, narrow gauge, single track. The line from Arturo to Meast, which is both narrow gauge and standard gauge, but they take very different paths. Elevation increase of 100 feet. Crossing a river or following a river, depending on which track you're taking. And both standard gauge and narrow gauge, they take different paths. I believe I already said that, but I just wanted to reiterate just in case. Now, if you can see on the screen, I'm putting in different multiple industries. This is when I decide there are going to be 4, although I neglect to put the multiple industries for the narrow gauge line on top. It's not something I ever just got around to. So, don't worry about that. I'll do that when I'm actually setting this stuff up, which we might have a second round of setting this stuff up after we spend our hour and a half or thereabouts texturing Grizzly Peak to get everything up to speed and to kind of almost round out that section of the map. Once we do that, the only thing we'll have to do is the I don't have a name for that mountain. I think it's just going to be called Bald Knob or something like that, just because that's the thing that's stuck in my head. I believe that's where the Hawassi Loop is as well, so that's why it's stuck in my head. So we have Bald Knob there. I'm going to try and name all these mountains, although I'm going to forget them pretty quickly. Although we might... The track marks will definitely help with remembering place names. So yeah, that signal glitched over there, and I put it back when we're done. But I think that's going to be the extent of the 2-foot... Oh, yeah, sorry. I went through Arturo to Hapston Cliffs, Arturo to Meast, and there's one that isn't on the map, which is Arturo to Sesquica. Now, we look at that 2-foot gauge following the river down, down towards Arturo. I think what's going to happen is between Temeros and Arturo, we're going to have an increase of about 50 feet. Maybe a little less, maybe considerably less. But either way, there's the 2-foot gauge from Sesquica is going to meet the Temeros line, the Temeros to Arturo line at its highest point, and then follow it from then on. Alongside a shallow river, that's going to be the remnant of this glacier, or whatever you call it. There might be a glacial kind of rift that goes up towards Lambit. That would actually be an interesting terrain feature. I need to think in bigger terrain features. Now, you've noticed I've been doing mountains and stuff, and those are a lot bigger than the hills that I used to do, but I need to think in the much, much larger scale, the much grander scale of giant mountains, giant valleys, all sorts of giant things. Just like more realistic scale for how this stuff is, because when you have a mountain that's the size of even Capst Peak, it's not really a mountain, it's just sort of a pointy hill. So I'm not quite sure how high that gets. I maybe should measure these mountains at one point. Once again, I need to go through and do track marking. I'll do that once I actually start fiddling with trains, because then it will become relevant and important. But other than that, there isn't much need for it yet. I could do it for completionist's sake, but, you know, once again, I'm not really a completionist. A lot of those areas still don't have signals because I'm still not sure what exactly to put them on. I will install them when they become relevant and useful, as I did with the signals down here, as I did with the stuff near Aperture Lumber, and etc. So I've definitely got stuff planned. Now, just because we have 2 towns doesn't mean I'm automatically going to sit down and connect them. You guys would have to vote for that as well. So you'd have to vote for Sesquica to Arturo, although it would take probably a fraction of the time a normal route would take, considering... oh, I'm looking at the map right now, that's right. It would go from there, and it would just start heading... what is that, west? Yeah, it would just start heading west until it intersects with the Tamaros to Arturo line again. Now, for the record, everyone that's misspelling it, I'm not upset with that. It's completely an honest mistake because, well, it's difficult to spell, but it's Arturo. And if you want to know where that comes from, look up the old TV show Sliders. It was an old sci-fi show about people who jump from universe to universe. It was kind of interesting. It was kind of sketchy, though. I mean, it had this kind of Stargate feel to it, because you'd always go to somewhere new, and you never really knew what the rules were going to be, or anything like that. Alright, so, moving on from that, we seem to have covered everything in that category. I'm going to try and spend this last 10 minutes talking about TS12, TRS12, I guess. So, I finally registered my serial number for that. Woohoo, go me. Yep. But, then I actually started playing on it, did a tiny bit of a multiplayer session, didn't really do much because I had to go. There's only one multiplayer session built in, so that's that. Download a couple things from the download station, and then used the coupon that I got, and that's where I got upset, because I used the coupon, it gave me an installer, I updated my trains, and then the installer didn't do anything. It unzipped a file and put it in a folder and doesn't do anything from there. So now I have a theoretical PRRT1 that I can't do anything with. That I paid, you know. I'll be honest, it was $4. So it's not like I expected fantastic things from it, but still, come on. N3V, I paid you for this. It should work. But I submitted a ticket, and there was a very nice guy who replied to it, although he told me to do a couple of things that I'd already figured out how to do, and did. So I replied to him, and I haven't got anything back yet. I will be on vacation now. I'll be going on vacation. I mean, by the time you see this, the problem's either going to A, be resolved, or B, going to be at a stalemate, because the guy has responded to me, and I can't reply to him, because I haven't tried anything, because I'm on vacation. But, you know, hopefully I'll get my T1s working, and then I'll be able to enjoy my T1s. I'll be able to... Oh, wait. No, it doesn't have that. I'm sorry. I hate you, TS12. I hate you, everyone who includes a Northeast Corridor route and stops at Washington or Philadelphia. What the hell? What's wrong with Rhode Island? What's wrong with driving it up to Boston? I mean, I'm sure there's a route out there where they've finished it, but seriously? Come on, guys. If you're gonna put in that much effort, just give me the little extra bit of gratitude where I can run a train through my hometown. It's called the Northeast Corridor, not the half Northeast Corridor, plus a little bit in Virginia. I was looking at these terrible cliffs and trying to figure out what exactly to do with them, but then I realized that there was no hope of repair. So I fly back to Tamaros, and I start naming these things. I just go, yeah, okay, and then I spin around and go, no, not really okay. And then I fix it. But I'm playing Train Simulator 12. Train Simulator 2012 is an alright game. It runs a little bit better now. I did about half of the Appalachian Coal scenario, which is interesting to say the least. It's fun. Although I wasn't doing it in driver mode because I couldn't really dedicate myself to that. I didn't have the time. Nor did I have the patience at that point in time. I just wanted to tour the route. On any other day, I probably would have done it in cab mode because I vastly prefer cab mode. Which is why I'm sad that the cab breaks in so many engines that you download for Train Simulator 2006. Curse you, Train Simulator 2006. Why do you have to be so broken? Alright, so look at those switches. A big boy is going to go around that. Don't believe me? Too bad, it's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to be painful. I'll be honest. It's going to be really painful. But, you know, that's that. That's what's gonna happen. I don't feel like reconfiguring that for that, so it's just gonna look silly. That's gonna be one of the big defects in Temeros. Not that Temeros doesn't have enough already. So I tried to simulate a few things. Mainly, Temeros is a very industrial city, and they attract work. So, the station up here has an evening peak, so that to simulate the work is going home, and the station down in Galgora has a morning peak, to simulate the workers coming to work in the morning. I thought that made sense. I mean, it makes sense, yeah, I'm not sure if people go and care about that stuff. I really wish stuff like this would save in the route, instead of by the individual scenario. I mean, it would be great if you could change it in the scenario, but I really wish I could save it by the route. Now, I was mousing around there for no particular reason. Can't remember why. Alright, so moving right along, I started to think about making a multiplayer session for Trains 12, and quickly set the thought aside because I didn't have the time. I don't have Trains 12 on my laptop. I might try installing it there just so I could try and install the PRR stuff, or the T1, but I'm really not sure how that's going to work out. I might not, anyways, because I don't have the disc. Well, no, I have the disc handy. I just don't feel like using the disc in my laptop. I don't feel like it's really worth it. I wish I could link my Train Simulator 2012 to the Train Simulator 2012 that they offer on Steam, because it's the same game. There's no way to link it as far as I know. If you guys know a way to link it, please let me know. But last topic of the day is possibly the most important, and it's what to do after the Temeros Vale and Anaconda. Now, I'm planning this really far out, unless something terrible happens and I can no longer continue development, or you guys basically just tell me, no, go do the other thing. Or I might have both running at once, you never know. It might trains me out, so to speak, to do 2 routes at once, but I'm really not. I don't know. I don't know until I try, and I'm not sure I feel like trying right now. So what I do right now is I go ahead and try to level all this, and then I realize later that it was a terrible decision because it just makes it look bad. So I go ahead and do that, and then the episode will end in a couple of minutes. Sad face. But planning ahead, as I have said. There is going to be a point in time where the Temeros Vale and Anaconda is done. I will release the route, and then we will enjoy it. Not really, because there isn't any multiplayer on this. If I could move it into 2012, if there's a way to do that, that'd be great. I just don't know. I think they use a different kind of file system, so I'm not sure. Also, I'm not sure how well the mods will do transferring from one to the other. Even if all of them will work. I don't know, there's a lot of things up in the air. I mean, I could try it. I could try to figure my way through it. But I'm not really 100% confident in doing it. I mean, it would at least fix the crashes, I hope. And it would provide me some more stuff. Maybe. But it might deny me some things. Ooh, I think I'd have Speed Tree, though. That would definitely help. Whatever. I'll finish this. I'll finish this route and then worry about it, or I'll sit down and work on it at some point in the future. But the thing I need to get to, when we have 2 minutes left, is the next project is going to be, I've probably said it at least once before, but it's going to be the Providence Northern Railway. Now, it doesn't exist, of course, but it does exist in the hearts and minds of many people who attend the Providence Northern Model Railway Club. Now, I will be, instead of modeling the fake route that we have, I will be modeling it as if it were an actual route, and that means doing a lot of, I was going to say real-life surveying, but it's still not real life, it's Google Earth. Google Earth surveying, finding heights, figuring out where rails go, and possibly cannibalizing bits of other maps. It's going to be a very in-depth project that we'll probably talk about more next week, seeing as we're about to hit time, and I don't want to go over again. But then I will start building multiplayer sessions for it. As it's a realistic route, it involves a lot of connections to other railroads, including, well, depending on the time period, CSX, depending on the time period, CSX, Boston, Maine, Conrail, Penn Central, Providence and Worcester. Well, Providence and Worcester is kind of ubiquitous, but New Haven. Who else do we have? Guilford, Pan Am. I'm trying to think of who else went into that area, but really a lot of people. I mean, New York Central, sort of, just because of the way things were. Old Colony, again, depending on the era, because that's a really old one. But it's coming to the end of our time, and I just come over here and stare at this confusedly, because I'm not quite sure what to do with it. I look at it and go, what am I going to do with this? I'm going to come over here, and hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next week. Train Man out.